Yeah.
So I'm scrolling and I get the deepest poem about a woman and how upset she is at her life and how she can't go through it. I'm sitting there crying. It's 2 a.m. Nothing's lighting me up on my phone. And then I scroll to the next one and it's like, roses are red, violets are blue. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Teen Writers Block, the best place on the internet to help you become a better writer. My name's Sarah, and I'll be the new host of this amazing channel. So, what this means basically is that we will be posting so much more frequently, as well as adding new series like Game Talk and Movie Talk to get you game and movie writers included, because writing a book is not the only form of writing. Speaking of writing, the Teen Writers Project will be collaborating with Whose Books to host a little thing we like to call root digging. It is a culture of value and literacy exhibit and community conversation, and it will be next Saturday, February 10th, from 6 to 7:30 p.m. So be sure to swing by and look at all the amazing works of art that our writers and artists have created for this event. I actually have one of the amazing poets here, so I'll let her introduce herself.
Hello, my name is Saray Rodríguez Hernández, and I am an intern with TWP, working as broadcast editor. And I also submitted 3 poems for the root digging event, which is super exciting. I am originally from Caracas, Venezuela, but I've lived in Texas for a few years, and now I'm in Indiana. I'm a student at the University of Evansville studying theater management, which is super exciting. And yeah, I've always loved writing. I grew up with my nose stuck in a book. And then I always had so many ideas. I always wanted to write them down. And I've tried different mediums, and I really, really love how TWP Teen Writers Project has allowed me to grow with writing. And I started off like say writing like journalistic like kind of writing, and then I discovered that I didn't like it so much and I prefer to do like more theater related stuff, and so now, that's what I'm doing now, and it's been a pretty cool journey.
That is so amazing. Just full discretion, she had time to think about that answer because I messed up. What? The first video I've ever done, and I'm 17 years old, and I messed up. It's insane. I'm not perfect, but no. Actually, we went through so much to get through this point, mainly because, well, she's a college student. I'm a high school student doing like all these activities. We're like, what day can we meet up? Finally get a day. Perfect. Do the entire interview. It was the
It was
most
good.
amazing. It was great. It was the most amazing video. It hit the 30-minute mark perfectly. I was like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever done. I spent 5 hours editing it at the dead of night. It is 1 a.m. I'm editing, I'm doing my work. I'm like, huh, this is strangely quiet. But I'm like, no, my iPad's connected to my headphones, my computer's connected to some kind of Bluetooth. I wake up in the morning, I get back on that grind, right? And then I press unmute, and I'm like, where's the noise? Where's the sound? My iPad didn't record any sound. So, second time's the try.
But here
Just
we are again. We
here
got to
we
do it
are.
again, have so much fun.
We had so much fun. It'll be the forever lost video, the very original first episode. That's so sad.
Mhm.
But no, just getting right back to the point. How did you get into poetry? I already know,
Um,
guys.
so I my love for writing, it started with storytelling, and I think that's mainly the thing that I love the most about writing is I love storytelling. And so I started trying to write short stories, and then I realized that I couldn't really because I always had so much to write about. I couldn't just simplify it and leave it at a short story. I always wanted to go more, and if I kept writing, like I wanted to write a novel, and I still do. I still do, and it's a project that I'm working on. But I like for more day-to-day stuff, if I'm feeling like overwhelmed or if I'm feeling very strong emotions or I'm very like thoughtful, and I just want a way to channel all of these emotions or thoughts, then writing poetry has turned to be one of my favorite things to do. And so I just love it. I love how short but impactful they can be, and also just how they they are like they can just you can start talking and then they can just the wording of it just flows a lot easier for me. And it's pretty cool. I love it.
That's such a good answer. Just what does poetry mean to you? And
In general, you know, I think it's weird when I say that I love poetry, and it's because like I don't mean I love poetry. I go out and I buy poetry books. That's not really what I do. What I do is I go on Pinterest and I read poems from Pinterest, which feels kind of like like a scam whenever I say that that I love reading poetry. But I just that's just the since it's so available to me, that's where I started, like, coming across these poems, and I was just like, "Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's cool." And now they're all over my Pinterest. Um, and yeah, no, they're just they just genuinely I feel like my mind is always very busy and there's always a lot going on. And I am also a very emotional person, and just having that way to like channel it all has been very, very important for me and very good in keeping me my mind in order.
honestly, Pinterest poems are the best thing to ever exist because it's such a variety, it's such a range, and it's so accessible. Anybody can post anything.
Yeah.
So I'm scrolling and I get the deepest poem about a woman and how upset she is at her life and how she can't go through it. I'm sitting there crying. It's 2 a.m. Nothing's lighting me up on my phone. And then I scroll to the next one and it's like roses are red, violets are blue.
I love the range of them. It's just so funny.
It's just the best thing ever. But no, so all three of your poems are about family. So what's the dynamic of your family?
My family is pretty chaotic. And I say, yeah, especially my mom's side of the family, my dad's side of the family. They get along, but like they have their different like ways of functioning. Um, in general, though, I would say we're pretty tight. Like I am a very family-oriented person, and I think that like yes, a part of that is just something that I choose to be family-oriented, but a lot of it I think is also it was like passed on to me from my family. Like my family is pretty close. We may not get along all the time, and there are times where I know there are siblings in my family or people in my family who are like at each other's throats, but at the end of the day they would like do whatever for their family and for their blood. And so I have people who I would do that for, and I know I have people who would do that for me, and it's it's very, very important, and I think it's really cool too, especially because I'm from Venezuela. I have family members in Venezuela. I have family members who have moved to Chile, or even I have some in Texas, some in Florida. Just we're scattered to the winds, basically. And being able to still rely on each other even through the distance has been pretty significant to me.
That's beautiful. So your first poem, An Ode to Little Voices. I It was amazing, honestly. So I just want to give you the chance to like reveal as much as you want. Don't reveal too much. We want them to read it.
Got it. So, Little Voices, it's actually pretty interesting because that one I had like I wrote about a year ago. It was like almost exactly a year ago. And it's because I was in my AP Lit class and I don't remember what book we were reading or what the prompt was, but essentially she gave us the time and space to write something based off a family. And what I ended up writing was a note to little. I remember the title. I remember the title. Little Voices? Is it? A note?
Little voices,
Okay.
little
'Cause
voice. For a
'cause
second, you just went silent, and I was like, "Oh no, it froze."
no, no, no. No. No, it's because I was I wrote the title for the poem very last and I was stuck between like little voices and little ears or like so I couldn't for a second I couldn't remember which one I ended up choosing. But anyways, that's not the point. I wrote it and it was just um and honestly that poem I felt like right off the bat, it felt pretty important to me. And I wanted to do something with that poem, but I just wasn't sure. And then Red Digging comes along and they're like, we want you to write about your family. And I'm like, bet, I already have a poem for you. I'll write two more. Um, and that's kind of what went into the writing process for that. I don't want to spoil a lot because I want you guys to read it and I want you guys to come to root thinking. But if I am gonna mention something else, it talks a lot about the responsibilities and um yeah, the responsibilities and the pressure that comes with being an oldest child, an oldest daughter, even um, in a family setting.
Yeah, no, that's really deep. And it's something that a lot of oldest daughters go through. Like when I was reading this, my family is also a family of immigrants. And while I didn't have your circumstances were very different than mine because my family was already here in America. They were already doing things. But I also felt like whenever they did struggle with English, which was not very often, but when they did and they turned to me, I would be so stressed out because I was like, do I even know English? Let's think about this, guys. But no, when you did come to America, how old were you?
I was um I was 16 years old. I remember because I was in the middle of my junior year of high school. Um yeah. Junior year of high school.
Junior year of high school. Perfect. Straight to the point with that one. um, what's your relationship like with your dad?
My relationship with my dad, it's pretty tricky. It has changed a lot through the years. So I don't remember this, but like my family always tells me that when I was like very, very little, I used to be like a daddy's girl. And so we had a pretty good relationship then. As I grew up, we kind of had our disagreements. And so we like I wasn't as close to him and then during the time during the time period of which I write about in that play, not play, poem, in that poem, that was I think one of the most um times in which my relationship with him was very complicated because it talks about a time in which I was very very angry at him and then it talks about a time later on like after we move and slowly starting to reconcile with him and today um I got along with him a lot more. I think it helped me, moving out, having my space, but also just having the chance to like especially through going through the moving out process, like my dad was super attentive. He was just trying to see what he could do to help and everything. And and so I have, our relationship isn't perfect and it has had its rocky moments, but I'm pretty glad that the place where we're at right now is pretty good.
I love that. That's so sweet. So, there's this one line, or there's this one like little phrase, a little motif for
Mhm.
those music nerds, that is so repeated throughout this poem, and it's a daughter's job.
Mhm.
Spoiler alert. No, but it's a repeated line throughout this poem. So I was wondering, what is your definition of a daughter's job?
Yeah, I think it's tricky because honestly, I from that perspective, I don't think there is a limit to a daughter's job, especially talking from an oldest daughter of, well, a non-oldest daughter period, but from my perspective, from an oldest daughter in an immigrant family, there just is no limit to what a daughter's job is. And so sometimes you may not, it may not be what you want to do, but sometimes there's an adult responsibility that your parents, for one reason or another, they simply, oh, 1 second. My laptop's dying. I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's okay. More rawness, more realness, because that's what the people on YouTube want to see.
Yes, yes, yes. I knew I forgot to do something because I turned on my laptop and I was just like, I was gonna do something. I was gonna put it to charge because I know this happens, but I forgot. There we go.
You're making me check all of my battery levels. Like, I know my stuff is fully charged. I'm like, oh,
No, my
this is
laptop is just it's tricky. It loves to like it'll tell me that it's like 60% and then it'll just die on me. So I think I just always have it with a charger plugged in. I just forgot.
my my gosh. The whole reason I'm not using my laptop to record this right now is because you'll have the clearest camera on the planet some days. I will see every single pore, and that says no. And then sometimes it'll give me like the low battery notification. I'm like, one more sentence. It goes on for hours and then just dies. I'm like, buddy, what?
Yeah.
It's these Apple products. No, I'm not dissing Apple. I love you, Apple. I have your whole ecosystem. Please. I love you. Just bought 2 terabytes of iCloud. Please, Apple. I love you.
Oh.
No, I needed it. My phone, oh, so much sidetrack. My phone would not turn on. Every single time I turned it on and unlocked the screen, it showed me the little loading symbol that you get whenever your phone dies.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, guys, what is this? And I was so scared. And I called my brother and I was like, Nathan, what is this? And he said, you've been running on like 0.5 gigabytes for the last year. What did you expect? And I was like, no, I'm just a girl. Please don't make me buy 2 terabytes.
Yeah.
But I gave in and I bought it after like 3 years of putting this off. I just like delete like a handful of photos and I'm like,
Yeah.
1 whole gigabyte is enough for my phone to run.
Yeah.
It's enough. It's enough. Girl
That's
math, you know.
unfortunate though.
Hmm?
That's unfortunate though.
I know. And like 2 terabytes is like $10 a month. Who has $10?
Yeah. It's too much.
Whatever. It's just terrible, just sick. But no. Going back to your amazing poem and not my beef with Apple, I'm going to hit you with a major spoiler alert. There's this stanza that I just loved, absolutely just loved, and pulling out the laptop to read it. So it goes, a daughter's job is never done. There's always more to do. I wish at times I'd get a break, but you don't get one too. So I complete my task perfectly, my shoulders weighing heavy. Too much relies on me, so I will remain steady. Spitting. Bars, bro. Fire. Absolute fire. Okay. This is the stuff. This is the stanza that I see at Pinterest at 2 a.m. that causes me. let's hear the thought. Let's hear the thought process behind this, please. I need to know what inspired you to wreck me so emotionally when I read this.
Um, that that was that was honestly my favorite part of the poem. And it's also I think the part that I was rawest in, and it was just so genuine, and that's part of why I really like it. But that I just specifically remember that because I wrote this in a period of time where I was like I was I was just very overwhelmed because I was still a child, but I kept having these adult responsibilities pushed onto me, um, that I was capable of doing, but I just felt like, like I was getting my childhood taken away. Like I wanted to be a child and enjoy being a child while I could. And I held so much resentment because I had to do these adult tasks. Um, and so I that paragraph or stanza really goes to the heart of it of I this is not something that I want to do. And it really exhausts me, but I also like not only do I feel bad saying no, but I genuinely can't say no because these are responsibilities that need to be done. And if you can't do it, then somebody needs to. Um, so I'll just do what needs to be done.
This is like, oh my gosh, we talked about this last time too. The oldest daughter support group, where
Yeah,
we all just
we need that
love
support.
and exactly. This needs to be a thing. Like, just thank you for sharing, Sarai. We all support you and we see you. Just
Thank you.
that's just the most real thing. And then we're gonna leave them on a cliffhanger. Read the poem. If you're an oldest
Read the
daughter,
poem.
read the poem. Support her. Support my girl. Please. Y'all just read the poem, guys. Just read the poem. Is it really hard to read a poem? Read a poem.
It's a short poem
Moving
too.
on. Hmm?
It's a short poem too.
It's not even that long. I read all three poems, took me like 10 minutes, and then I cried and I reflected, and then I reread them. It's easy, just a little crying and reflection period in the middle, you know? So your second poem, it's named A Family Portrait. So I'll just give you the opportunity to explain it all.
Yeah, of course. Again, I don't want to go into too much detail because I want you guys to read it. But a family portrait is centered around the idea, of how in theory we're supposed to look like our family members. And so how typically your appearance is compared to that of a family member. A regular example would be mothers to daughters, daughters to mothers. But it expresses a bit of a disconnect to that sentiment. The process behind that went with I'm Latina and my parents are Latinos. But especially within the Latino community, there's a lot of racial mixing, and so there's a lot of differences in features. And so I am tanned and I have curly hair, and I have all these different features. And my mother, her family took after a more European appearance, so she's white with lots of freckles and with very very slick black hair. Um, and it just talks about how um we don't we don't look similar. And it um and it talks it goes through the emotional roller coaster that I experienced while thinking and while just processing that fact. Because I think I realized very recently, like, I hadn't thought about it like physically, like sat down to think about it before, but just what a joy and what a privilege it is to look like someone you love and to have to share features with someone that you love. And that was just something that I didn't like share with my mom, and it was just frustrating. And so it goes through that journey, but it also goes through the journey of learning to love the differences. That yes, my mom is white and she is beautiful, but I am tanned and so am I. You know? And looking at the beauty and the differences, but also looking at the beauty and the similarities. So my mom and I, we both share brown eyes, and how beautiful brown eyes are because I get to share my mom's. And it goes through that roller coaster.
I just beautiful, wonderful as always. I we talked about this last time too. I have to stop saying that. It's like an automatic thing. But my mom is also, both of my parents born in the exact same place,
Mm.
different regions. So my dad is this dude, super dark skin, square jaw, everything. While my mom has always had, and my dad, who's rocking the full fro, Jackson 5 times. Like, he showed me a photo of his little haircut, and I was like, "Ooh, where'd you get the inspiration?" And he said, "You know the Jackson 5? I had their vinyl in Ethiopia." Okay, Michael, you devoured that afro. While my
Mhm.
mom, completely other side of the spectrum, light skin, slim features, straight hair, everything. And she does have like she has like she's like, I have curly hair, and her curls are like this big. They're like they, she's the definition. I don't know. Her hair was, I guess her hair was curly, but she
Mhm.
just ironed it so much because, beauty standards, America. Woo! But it's just like, and then I was a lot more, me and my brother both, our facial features tended more towards our father's family, while our skin tone was like dead center, but our hair was like our father's family. Or my mom, she said that my hair was a lot like her mother's as well.
Yeah.
But looking at your mom and having people not compare you to her, and like, you look identical to your dad. I was like, this guy's cool, but my mom's elegant.
Yeah, yeah. No,
I'm
I
not gonna
relate
make
to that so
my mommy
much.
look cool. Yeah, it's just, I'm like, you don't think I'm elegant and pretty? What are you doing? Guys, please, please.
Yeah.
Hmm. But no, so what is your relationship like with your mom?
With my mom, we're pretty close and we're pretty tight, and it's awesome. We talk a lot. It's a little different now, because we're both so busy, but like she still calls me all the time, and I still try to call her all the time. And what I really like about our relationship is that we can really talk. It wasn't always that way, but I guess halfway through high school, I decided, I realized, my mom is a pretty cool person. If I actually like if I treat her that way, then we can have an amazing relationship, and we do now, and that's something that I'm super, super grateful for. Yeah, I love her.
That's so, I love it when moms and daughters have that like tight bond, because I'll like hear people like just like talking, and then like on TikTok and stuff, and be calling their moms crazy things. And they're like, I hate my mom. Don't you hate your mom? Guys, I want to fit in, but I love my mom. What do you do?
Yeah, exactly.
And like, I understand that some people just don't have that connection with their moms. And I feel sad because it's like that womanhood, that connection of like
Yeah.
being woman in your family is like such a strong bond that it just like transcends everything else, you
Mhm.
know? So just like, how does being compared to your mother make you feel and like affect your relationship?
Yeah, I I mean, like I said, we have different features. So, and what I've noticed is that it goes very 50-50. There are people who will look at me and look at her and they'll be like, "You are an exact photocopy of her." I will be like, "Huh?" Um, and then there are people who look at us and then just don't see any relation. Um, but honestly, like if anybody calls me, like says that I look like my mother, I cannot think of a better compliment, you know?
Yeah.
It's just one of the highest compliments I can get. Um, and yeah, I mean it doesn't happen a lot, but when it does, it warms my heart a little bit. And yeah, um,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, like, because growing up, the women in your family are who you see as that picture of who you're supposed to be. And your
yeah.
mother, most of all, because that is the woman in your house. You look up to her and you're like, I want to be like her. So when you feel like you're falling short, it's just,
Yeah, yeah, and I didn't think about it so much when I grew up, like as I was growing up, but especially now it's become like a lot more present in my like way of thinking is, I look at my mom and I see like beauty. And that's just what I grew up looking at. Like she was just I would look at her and I would just think beautiful. And then I would look at myself and then I would see that I did not look like her. And so that affected my perception of beauty and like inner beauty. And it's just, you like I said, it's been a roller coaster of going through, like, I do not have to look exactly like her to be beautiful. And there are different types of beauty, and it's just um diversity is very beautiful. And learning that the things that we share are wonderful, but the things that set us apart are also that. There was this awesome poem that I came across, speaking of, that I just now remembered, and it talks about how your face is proof that faces like yours have been loved through generations.
I saw that on TikTok.
Yeah, I saw it on TikTok. That one came from TikTok. I don't know whose
Yes.
it is. Props to them, credits to them, because
I
with
know.
that quote, you were able to revolutionize my way of thinking and just
I know. The moment this ends, I'm Googling it because I was no, because I was just scrolling and it wasn't even like the pretty videos. It was like a screenshot with the guy that's sitting under it looking like, and I'm like, but I read it and it was
You're
like,
hilarious.
oh, it was like your face is proof that your mom and dad loved how each other's looks and how your grandparents loved each other's looks. And I was like, how can I hate now?
Exactly.
I can't.
Exactly.
There's this line, spoiling everywhere, but it says, "What a strange mirror you and I make." And I noticed that mirror just comes up over and over and over again. So just like, what's up with the mirror analogy?
Yeah. So again, like I was saying, it's a poem comparing my appearance and my mom's, and so um like the comparison of it is like we are two sides of a mirror. And it talks about how some people may think that the like mirror is cracked because they don't see that the two reflections are the same. And as I said, it talks about how how the mentality behind the mentality and the weight behind those words influence me, but at the same time, but like that little bit that is at the very end. It is me coming to terms with, yes, we are two sides of a mirror and they are not exactly the same, but it is a beautiful mirror that she and myself make.
That's amazing. That's so many snaps. All the snaps. You should pull up to a late night poetry reading. Do this. Everybody just amazing. Beautiful. Your last poem.
Mm.
My Spanish skills were not great. So you say it.
Yeah, so it's called Guerreras. And then it's it talks about Hernando.
She taught me how to say it last time, and I forgot.
It's okay. It's okay.
It's
Several
because
days ago
I
too.
didn't even tell you this. I didn't even tell you this last time. You want to know how
Mhm.
terrible Spanish 1 was for me?
Oh, how terrible.
It was sickening. It was terrible because not even the teachers, all 3 of my teachers were amazing.
Mm-hmm.
3 teachers, 1 year. This is Spanish 1, right?
Oh.
I had this, yeah, it gets to a point. I had this amazing teacher. She was awesome. She taught us for half the year. I had 100 in the class, right? She quits. The entire class gets diffused into the rest of the Spanish teachers, classes, right? A
Yeah.
month in, I'm like just now getting a hang of it, right? Bro quits too. I'm like, who's gonna teach me Spanish? How am I gonna learn this? What? This is a required credit, guys. I need this to graduate, pretty please.
Yeah.
So they can't find another Spanish teacher because they can't diffuse this class in again. There's like 2 more Spanish teachers. They're not gonna have like classes of 50. So
Yeah.
there were just random teachers subbing in and just giving us worksheets. And I was like, because I pronounce things in English wrong because I only read them from a book and never heard anybody pronounce them properly.
Yeah.
Now I'm learning Spanish wrong? How dare you guys?
Man, that is crazy. I am so sorry.
Okay. And then I did Spanish 2 during the summer. And you know how summer school goes.
Mm-mm.
Like,
It doesn't
it's a
work.
credit.
It is. That's how it works. I took algebra 2 over the summer. Do I remember any? No. But
No.
I got the
if Mosquito Ice D hears this, please accept my Spanish 2 credit, bro. I got a 100 in the class. So maybe I love summer school. Tell you anything about Spanish 2 or BIM? No, but it worked. So let me keep that credit. It worked. It worked. It worked. For my transcript. It worked.
Spoiler alert, I will have to retake math now, but I got the credit for you.
Oh my gosh. Just speaking about classes, I've been in GT classes my whole life. So I did a lot of my freshman courses in like 8th grade and 7th grade. And they told me, I know, it was great. So they told me that I didn't have to take any more English or math credits, right? So I said, of course I won't. And I did that junior year, or I did that senior year. Senior year, I didn't really have to take anything because I was already a year ahead. And then I tell my teachers I'm majoring in like biology. I want to major in biology. And they're like, have you taken math this year? Have you taken math? And I was like, well, I don't hate myself, so I'm not going to take calculus. And they were like, you have to take calculus anyways in college. For my biology degree?
I am so sorry to break it to you. I am so sorry they had to break it to you.
I could have just done it now.
Well, okay, I'm not a biology genius, but I think it depends on what university you go to. So
I think I'm going to contest this. I'm going to write a 50-page long debate, speech, essay, being like, I don't need calculus. Don't need it, guys. I don't need it. Just trust I know what 2 + 2 is. Can't they just trust me? Can't they just hear me out?
At the end of the day, everybody uses calculators. So what's
that part? Because this exists. Oh, it's upside down. This exists for a reason. Like me and Steve Jobs are best friends at this point. Him and his little Siri. I mean, Siri, what's 7 plus 7? Oh, Siri actually turned on. This is the reason, guys, don't listen to me. This is the reason why our generation are.
Yeah, I'm just
No.
kidding. I'm actually gonna take my math.
Exactly, guys. I'm just kidding. I'm going to take calculus because I love math. But going back, this is like the 5th side plot. This is like the 50th time we sidetracked. I'm gonna keep it all in too. It's funny. But your poem, Guerreras. Great grandpa. Guerreras. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absorb something. So what you're can you just explain it? Just explain it actually. Now I'm gonna ask a question. Explain it.
Yeah, so okay, so like I said, Guerreras, it's about my great grandpa. And well, I mean, first of all, Guerreras in Spanish means warrior, which is a pretty cool word.
You didn't tell me
And
that last time.
I know, I'm just now remembering. It just came to mind. You got
You
to
know
know
what?
now.
We needed the second chance.
We needed the
We
second
needed.
chance. And so guerreras means warrior, specifically female warriors. And the funny thing is that that's my grandma's last name. Her last name is Guerrero. Her last name means warrior. So I think that's just a very, very fun little fact. And I want to play around with that for this, specifically because um, for my I guess it would be sophomore year of high school in Venezuelan system. During your sophomore year of high school, you have to do like a passion project, which you have the entire school year to complete. You can do whatever you want. You just have to follow certain guidelines. Like you're gonna reach out to a teacher to be your advisor. You're gonna send in check-ins every so often. Blah 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 blah. But the point is to like use different skills that you learned from K up until that point, kindergarten up until that point. And so because I love to write and because I'm very family oriented, I had the brilliant idea of making my project a novel. And so my project was to interview my mom's side of the family um, and write a novel based off of the 5 matriarchs of my family. And I got to talk to most of them. A couple of them were not still around, but I got to talk to their kids and their siblings. And I interviewed a lot of people, and it was really cool because I got to my grandma just hooked me up on the phone with her with one of her sisters. And I was just like, hi, I've never met you before, but I'm going to ask you a lot of questions about your life. And she's just like, okay, sweetie, I'm going to tell you all about my life. And it was so sweet. And I got to learn a lot more about where I come from. And it was just very beautiful. I got to learn a lot about people that I didn't previously know of. And honestly, I don't know if they still know me, but it was just wonderful. And one of the stories that I got to know was that of my great grandpa. And my grandma loves him very much. Um, it is kind of a tragic story in the sense that he and my great grandma loved each other very much. And they had a lot of kids. They had 11 kids. Quite a big household it was. And they lived in the country. They had their own little tiny farm. They made it about enough to feed themselves and then enough to spare to to run their to have that be their source of income. And they grew coffee and different types of things in the Andes in Venezuela. Um, and in one of those trips that my great grandpa took on like a route to like trade things. He came across some bandits and they stole stuff, but mostly they beat him and left him there to die. And he was there for I don't know how long, but he was found and he was brought to the house, but then he had a fever. And after that, he was never the same again. He kind of lost his mind after that. He wouldn't always fully remember who he was or who his family was, and it was very hard on my great grandma. It was very hard on my grandma and her siblings to then have to deal with the consequences of that. And so I want that was it is a sad story, but it is also one of the coolest stories that I found out. So I wanted to tell it in a short little poem, and so it kind of tells that story from what I imagine would be my grandma's perspective of it growing up.
That is just such a there are some things that words can't articulate, and that's just such a heartbreaking story. Oh my gosh. But no, there's this stanza that you do have that says, "Oh, Hernando, where are you now? I no longer see my papito in your eyes. I lost my faith in humanity the day those bandits left you there to die." That is just, I mean, like, can you really run out of snaps? There's a reason we can snap. And it's for stuff like this. And I just think, like, what was your thought process behind like writing it? Like, and new question just like birthed on the spot, but I will like,
Yeah.
I'll hold on to it for you. Just explain that.
Okay. Oh, the thought process behind that was I I well, like I said, I'm a very emotional person, and so I think that comes across in my writings. I if and we're in my day to day, like if I read a book, I will mostly relate to the emotions that are felt in the book. I am a very empathetic person, and I will just strongly relate to what they are feeling. And if I watch a movie, the same thing happens. Like if you put on a remote, like just a tad bit sad movie, I will cry. And
Same.
I just relate to people a lot. And so when I heard that story from my grandma and from her siblings, it just I know it is not my story, and the goal of my project was not to write their story as it was. Like I wanted to collect that information so that I could hold it and I could hold on to it and my family could know about it in the future. But I also wanted to make like a little twist to it and write like my like a ver it my is based off of um what their stories are, but um not but it's also based off of my imagination, you know? And so um for that, I really um in my mind I just I heard them tell me about their dad and I just felt like I felt a lot of pain and a lot of sadness. And that like for them and for what they lived through. And so that was kind of my way of I imagine you being like so sad that you look at your dad. Oh, you're on mute. Okay. I'm gonna I imagine you being so sad. I imagine you being so sad that you look at your dad and you don't see your dad. And your dad looks at you and your dad doesn't see his daughter. Um,
It's just like amazing. Did you ever get a chance to show like any of this to your grandmother?
Interesting question. Um, well, so the poem I wrote for this root digging event. So, it was after I wrote the novel. It was a lot more recent. It was more like, oh, I want to submit something. I want to write something. What can I think of? And that was one of the first things like that I thought of. So I was just like, oh, I'll write this. And then I didn't actually think to share it with my grandma. So that's on me.
Oh.
But at least with the novel, I wrote it, and the thing is, it was like you had a school year to write it, but I had to do a lot of investigation to do it, so I didn't actually get a full school year to like write it. So I did write a novel. I think it is not finished and it is not complete, and I'm still to this day making um edits, and my grandma is interested in reading it, and I've told her, I'm sorry, grandma, you can't read it until it's until
No.
it's not it's not I will put this out there. I'm a perfectionist. I did that for like a year. I was just like, no, you can't read it. I did that for like a year, and then I was just like, okay, you know what, grandma, just
Oh, I was about to say, you were like, Grandma, just give me 3 more years. I'm almost done.
no. No, I did give her my computer so she could read through it. I will say also my grandma, she didn't get like she didn't complete her education. She went through most of elementary school, so her reading is not so I think she tried to read a part of it, but she didn't quite, it's like it was like 100 pages, and it was a lot, and I used a lot of words. And so
That's when you turn it into a story time.
yeah.
That's she's gonna hear this story one way or another.
Yeah. And so poor thing, in theory, she has read part of the story. Um, it is still a story that is being workshopped. So I mean, I submitted the novel to my school because they had to go through the grading process for it. It is not published yet, because I don't think it is ready to be published. But I I will let you guys know the second that it becomes published, and best believe that the first one notified will be my loving grandma.
I hope so. This woman deserves it. And like, when you really think about it, a writer never believes their story's ready to be published.
Yeah.
Like, as long as there's a beginning and an end and partially a middle, girl, post that. What? TikTok, Wattpad, all the writing apps. Come on now.
Teen
I
Writers
will read it.
Project is also a publishing company.
There's a wait, repeat that. Blank. What?
Teen Writers Project is also a publishing company.
Teen Writers Project is also a publishing company.
Yeah.
I was talking about Wattpad. The company that we work for publishes things.
Yeah,
So
no.
like,
Dee has told
whatever.
me to like, oh, you should submit it with us, and I'm just like, yeah, but it's not done. It's also in Spanish, which she told me we have translators for. But
Me and that Google AI that translates things got
I mean,
me through Spanish.
I could translate it myself, and I am down to. I just don't think it is ready. Like I said, it is. I decided that like yes, I want to focus on my family, but more recently I decided that I want to focus on the politics that are going on, just because I want to make it personal for my family, but I also want to use it for my advantage and write about the politics and the injustices that are taking place in Venezuela and that have been taking over for the past several years. So that's what I'm still like trying to to it for reference.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm disappointed in myself. One of my main goals was to plug the company that I work for as much as possible. And I just did it. I'm like, for other things, guys, please. But no, if you do want to submit your work so you can be published, I'll make it like a little chapter. You know, like the little chapters.
Yeah.
I only know chapters because of MatPat. He has like the witty banter chapter, which is like half of the episode, and then there's and then there's a little end. Skip ahead to the chapter, guys. Just like click on it. I will go through everything that you can do on this amazing website. And it's that easy. Keep up with the short attention spans, and then just like remember the timestamp. Write down the timestamp and be like, okay, well, now that I'm done publishing the 15 things that I just wrote, come back and have a discussion with us, guys. We love to talk.
We do.
All right, those were all my questions. You get a 100. You passed.
Oh, thank you.
Of course, another A. Another A. That's for you. But thank you so much, and thank you to everybody watching this. So just, wow, the way I just was like, click ahead in the chapter. All they had to do was wait like 3 minutes of me yapping. Don't click ahead in the chapter, my bad. Just hear me talk for like 2 minutes. Don't worry, it's coming. But no, please make sure to check out the Teen Writers Project website in order to read our wonderful lit scenes, submit your own work, and just buy some great merch that'll last a lifetime. There are so many things you can do on this website, including a link to this YouTube channel. What? There's Soundstage, which Saray runs, and it's like, if you have a play and you want to hear it read by actors, that's your girl.
Or if you are an actor who would like to be in a play, look up Soundstage.
I mean, am I allowed to like make fun of an actor? Really? What else are you actors doing? Come on, just do it for fun.
Yeah.
For the lols, guys. Just do it. Just do it. Really, just do it. If you're an actor, do it. No, there's just so many. There's a newsletter, there's a blog, there's all these things that I didn't know when I applied to this company. I applied because I was like, be a teenager and get money. What? But just like, I know, I went through this rabbit hole. I was acting like I was playing an ARG while just searching this website. I was clicking like all the little photos and everything, and I was like, is this a link or is this just a photo? Inspect elements. Like, guys, this is a cool website. Go on it, right? And just remember that everything here is made by teens for you to enjoy. See you guys in the next video, and keep on writing. Bye.
Bye.